Welcome to Sequential Geek. Thank you for hitting up my channel. A couple of comic book hauls, like that and that from like the past 10 days. Happy St. Patrick's Day. It is March 17th. What is this comic book haul? 69 parts. 55. Yeah, let's get on with it. Check it out. Ghost Rider, Spirits of Vengeance. Ghost Rider, Spirits of Venom. Andy Kubert did this cover. Trying to minimize the reflection. Even though it's direct edition, I thought the condition was good enough for just a fun buy, cover buy. Turns out this is from January 1993. It's Adam Kubert doing the interior pencils. Bill Reinhold, interior inks. To the story that's written by the co-creator of the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider. We're talking Mr. Howard Mackey. Yeah. So Javier Salteras did the art like about 3 years ago with that Danny Ketch intro. That was Ghost Rider Volume 3. And now we're talking this crazy story that, it's January 1993 cover date. So this is the same time as that other Web of Spider-Man comics I was showing off, like Web of Spider-Man 96 a few comic book hauls ago. Mark Texera did that awesome painted cover, and that was January 93 as well. And my point was I went over the whole, this is a fucking crazy story. It's a mixture of Venom, and you got the doppelganger Spider-Man that's like from a different dimension that has, more than one set of arms and legs and can shoot these razor wire type webbings. And then you've got the Demogoblin, and the whole crazy thing with the Demogoblin is that check this out, the backstory with Demogoblin and all those spider derivative 90s hack job characters, but the story is about how like the Demogoblin, the new Demogoblin, the second one, kidnaps the second Hobgoblin. But that second Hobgoblin was also the original Jack-o'-lantern. He dies in this story, by the way, I think. But the second Demogoblin involved in this story kidnaps the second Hobgoblin, well, essentially second Hobgoblin, who was the first Jack-o'-lantern and spinning out of the Infernal storyline. Right? While Madeline Pryor was messing with that limbo demon, the Astrith, and Astrith ends up turning that Jack-o'-lantern, that was the Hobgoblin, into this demonized version of itself. So the Demogoblin was born due to this limbo demon, the Astrith, that originated from these like X-Force baby Cable stories from Inferno. Fucking crazy. So, yeah, and then you've got Deathwatch, who has these like, what do you call them? Like, it's like little demons that he controls. It's crazy. It's fucked up. And they're all mixed up with Venom and, but the crazy thing, even though that's crazy to keep up with, okay. But this whole story, it ends up getting, I think, retconned by, I think, Tom DeFalco by the late 90s, but essentially the original story about the Hobgoblin was, the reason I say that this original Jack-o'-lantern was the second Hobgoblin was that, which you love in this tangent, was how the original Hobgoblin was like this fashion designer, Roderick Kingsley, that hypnotized people like Ned Leeds to be his patsy, his fall guy. And then eventually the original Jack-o'-lantern that appeared in Machine Man, 19? That last issue of the first volume of Machine Man. That's right. I'm going off right now, geeking out. That's why it's called Sequential Geek. But hell yeah. So that whole Roderick Kingsley hypnotizing people to be his patsy. Tell me that's not a foundation story for Zoolander. Amen. And that's just the first comic. January 1993. Beautiful Adam Kubert cover. Let's get on with the haul. Fantastic Four. 247. Yes, what better way to assimilate kids growing up than that song?
This land is my land, this land's not your land. From the Danube River to Romania. If you don't like it, then go fuck you.
My ruler is Dr. Doom.
So I think like 21, 22 years ago, you got the Toy Biz one. This is the reprint. Came with the Dr. Doom Toy Biz figure, and it's a reprint, really nice condition reprint of this newsstand edition Fantastic Four number 247. John Byrne's pencils and inks this cover, as well as illustrating the interiors and writing these stories, nonstop from like 232 to 292. October 1982 is this cover, first appearance of Christophe Fanad. And then he dies in Fantastic Four 278. But yes, John Byrne gem. And I just love this because it always reminds me of the national anthem. Yeah. Thank you for reminding me, Jim. Fuck yeah. Dr. Doom, Latveria. So he adopts this kid. Tipsy. I think it's like Zora or Zorba. There's a rival family takes over Latveria. I think they reprogrammed his Doombots. So now this kid's mother gets killed. John Byrne. John Byrne. Check out the link in the description, not only for the motion comic, which is great if you want to get people hooked on comics, or John Byrne, the Fantastic Four, by this guy Bauer, I think his last name is. Check out Bauer. The link from that guy's YouTube channel does a motion comic of this, and then also I got a link of my whole little bio of John Byrne and key John Byrne comics to get in the description. So that was October 1982. So now we're talking about 10 years later, the first appearance of the new Fantastic Four team, newsstand edition, really nice condition. Art Adams doing the cover and interior as of the previous issue. Walt Simonson writing. Just thought this was a nice little collectible gem. I'm not really into this type of team right here. I just found the 90s just to be filled with stuff like, derivative Spider-Man characters, or just these fanboy type scenarios that are more, which is fine to a certain extent, but I really think that there were too many inmates running the asylum by this time, early 90s. It is what it is. It isn't all terrible, but considering what it led to, just overconsumption, leading to Marvel to be overconfident in their choice to choose Heroes World. I don't know why the fuck did Marvel choose Heroes World for their distributor, because it was cheap, but it only had the capacity to serve 10 to 15% of the market. Totally crazy. All right, so I digress. Yeah, that's what this was leading into, because this is now, we're talking January 1991. So I had quit comics by 89, 90. So this was something that I remember seeing this and just being fucking pretty dope Art Adams artwork. For sure. This is cool. Really dig this. Just because I figure, this is my take on the whole Harrison Ford covers that I've been collecting, like him as Han Solo and all these different types of Star Wars, either photos or just like that Chewbacca 4-issue limited series issue 4. It's almost like a Mad Magazine image, but the likeness is pretty sick on this Indiana Jones Tomb of the Gods. Even though it is a direct edition, the condition was pretty cool. Decided to get it. What for? What's the deal with this guy? Think about it. This guy's A-list. I mean, he's one of the most expensive A-list actors, like top of the top. Yet, what other A-list actor? You would think it would be Arnold Schwarzenegger, whose face would be on as many comic books as Harrison Ford. He has this huge presence in pop culture that I think could be matched by like Samuel L. Jackson, but Samuel L. Jackson isn't on nearly as many comic books as this cat, Mr. Harrison Ford. Although, you know, with all those Star Wars comics, got Snakes on a Plane as well. That limited series, both of the A and B covers have Sam Jackson. But I digress. But yeah, for me, huge pop culture icon, turn of the century, large presence in both comics and sci-fi and adventure, respectable, iconic, classic type image that, you know, these words, classic, iconic, to me that translates to longevity. All right. In one sense, that is beneficial. There's a new comic. Got a couple of new comics. Napalm Lullaby. Rick Remender, Bengal. Just like the look of this, kind of a what? Like a cyberpunk? I don't know much about it. I think it looks promising. I'm not too much into Image because of all their variant covers and option for a movie hype type stuff, but it wasn't always like that. When Eric Stevenson first started taking off with his ideas, it wasn't always like that. Right on. A cover. Hexpaw. I showed the first issue to this. Blood Moon. Small indie press. Essentially, it's like in the Balkans, like, you know, Croatia, Serbia. These wizards during medieval times, ancient times, they had these familiars, these werecats. And I think these people became too much of an influencer during the age in a negative way. They all got killed off. And the familiars, except for one. So these like lords in Serbia, these wizards, I think that's how the story goes. They banished the one that they let live. So now here we are hundreds of years later, and this Steve McQueen type looking dude, it's like an assassin. He becomes this werecat. He's the only line that's left alive from whatever this almost like genocide that occurred in Serbia hundreds of years ago, and he's like this assassin. He can't become a werecat. He can't turn into a werecat unless he gets turned on. Another small indie press. It's like a horror comic here called Humro. I got it because it's the first issue. March 23. Right? Script and art by Ricky Sykes. I don't know. It's like this person goes out hunting. But then there's all this weird shit. I haven't read this yet. Looks pretty wild, though, this art. Another new comic book, Vampirella 666. written by Christopher Priest. It was his idea to have the No Prize from like around 1980. A turn of the century BP writer. All right. His website, I'll leave a link to that. I got to find it. He has this site called like Gramercy Park. And like every 10, 11 years, it looks like he's been updating it. I don't know if that's going to stick, but last time I checked, his blog was still up. Real quick, couple of dollar books. Squadron Supreme, September 2006. Godland 13, October 2006. So Adam Archer, check it out. He's an astronaut, ends up on Mars, finds this cave with some ancient advanced technology, and ends up getting cosmic powers. Right here. He's in this tower in this city. His two scientist sisters. Working for NASA. This is the Tom Scioli joint. Tom Scioli's doing the artwork, co-plotting. The scripter Joe Casey. And this gem lasted for like how many issues? I think 38. So just like an extreme cosmic Jack Kirby-esque journey. It's definitely a tribute to the king. And this is like a modernized version of the Justice League, really. I love this story. Gary Frank doing the art. Yeah, bear with me. Check that out now. Right, so I love this. I thought that this got overlooked because of the year, 2006. So, House of M, that was successful. So then that was when, just like a couple years after Bill Jamas got booted out, for better or for worse. But Quesada, after his like Tsunami line, his Gen Y, Gen Next spiel deal, then all of a sudden he's like, oh, okay, yeah, House of M, all right, Civil War, boom, the event. And then the event just like overshadowed this badass modernized version of Justice League in a way. Like, it was really cool. Check that out. And really enjoyed it. I gotta admit though, there were times where this did feel a little bit too decompressed, because then they could just contribute like a few pages for each character at times. But yeah, she's like, related to the Superman Hyperion type guy. I think they're both from like the same planet, but she's been in contact with humans, but worshipped as a goddess. But no, overall, yeah, this guy is Redstone, Red Moon, whatever the fuck his name is. He was real fucking evil, man. This guy's psychopath, takes apart his victim, piles up all the limbs. It's a real nasty motherfucker. But the way that they handled this guy, because he's like essentially invulnerable, super strong, and crazy. Psychopath. The way Nighthawk and Hyperion essentially take him out, as well as with that speedster right here. It's pretty sick. It's pretty dope, man. Yeah, Nighthawk is definitely, I think, my favorite character of all these, for sure. Out of Chicago, Chi-Town, a Midwest-based superhero, Nighthawk. Fantastic Fables, Basil Wolvertons. I've shown off the first issue of this, I don't know, maybe like a year ago, but just thought this was really cool. Basil Wolverton's Fantastic Fables. This is issue 2 of 2 from December 1993. And Basil Wolverton, he's doing all the art, he's doing all the inks. And this is a Darkhorse Classic. And this is just saying how, like, his work is from the 1930s. I mean, I think we're essentially looking at a precursor to what, Star Wars, Buck Rogers. I don't know when Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers came out, actually, but it's definitely, I think, one of your first from pulp to sequential sci-fi stories. I don't know enough about my comic book history, to be honest. Golden Age, Platinum Age, I need to definitely wise up in that era. But I know that, like, back here towards the end, this amazing artwork. This one is Space Hawk. But they're talking about this Boris Karloff, and this, they think, in like early 1940s, but they were saying how he did images of Greta Garbo and who else? Joan Crawford, Chester Morris. But he also later did portraits of famous comedians like Red Skelton, Jack Benny, Bob Hope. The medium, which they were saying the board was, they're saying that the medium was twice up, 12 by 18 comic book pages, big enough to allow for plenty of detailed inking. Basil Wolverton. All right, cool. Psyched to have this Basil Wolverton, founding father collectible type comic from Darkhorse Classics. Evil Ernie, Straight to Hell. Issue number 1, October 1995. Stephen Hughes pencils and inks this cover. Brian Pulido script. Justiniano pencils and inks. So check this out. When I was checking this out, Chris behind the counter, the owner, he took it out of the bag. He's like, let me show you something. Because this opens up, right? But this has not been opened. I can kind of hear it creak a little bit. So leaving it, and just find this to be a little collectible gem. 1991, Evil Ernie first appeared. That's Eternity Comics 4-issue limited series, created by Brian Pulido. That's the writer here. You then have Stephen Hughes, who's known for being a common penciler with Evil Ernie. Yeah, that's right. Lady Death's first appearance, Evil Ernie. All right, so due to budget constraints and just, I don't know Evil Ernie all that well, I got the first issue to this, and then this issue 4, covered by Stephen Hughes. 1995, that was. All right, Evil Ernie issue number 3. The cover artist, penciler, is David Brewer. Inker, Curtis Arnold. Curtis Arnold is teaming up here for the cover and interiors. David Brewer pencils. And script is still by the creator, Brian Pulido. Let's check this out real quick. It's sick, isn't it? Ernie learns that his new ally, Legion, is actually working for his enemy, Purgatory. What the fuck? Ernie cuts through purgatory and her forces to rescue Chastity. Chastity decides to stay in LA and enjoy the club scene while Ernie heads back to New Jersey. That's the Comix.org description. I love it that this character, Chastity, she's like, I'm staying in LA and having fun. And why not? Evil Ernie Depraved, issue number 2 of 3. Dave Brewer is still doing the pencils here from August 1999. Brian Polito still doing the script. And yeah, Dave Brewer kicking ass with the pencils in the interior. Just one that I found in the box and just thought it's a cool cover. So that's why I grabbed it. And then you got this one right here as well. Really amazing looking painting, isn't it? Alex Horley cover painting. It's issue 1 of 4. Alex Grant script this time, though. Tony Castillo. Pencils and inks on this interiors for this Evil Ernie in Santa Fe. But look at the interiors. It's fucking awesome, man. Look at that. It's fucking sick. Killah dope. Killah. There, wrapping it up. Check this out. I've shown off these comics. This Fang Testament and this other Fang comic book. And this artist is just trying to say how he doesn't want to get typecasted for just doing like erotica type adventure comics. And Kevin J. Taylor, he's like, I want to take this to the next level, get more into storytelling with these Fang comics. And I looked at this trade, and it's a first print. Kevin J. Taylor, August 2000. And he goes over just talking about how certain great actors, regardless of their skills, get typecasted. They have to stick with what I've been saying, a brand, in order for them to be able to have a reliable platform to sell themselves. After he mentions like Denzel Washington and Tom Hanks, he's like, I do liken myself to these brilliant actors mentioned, but Fang Testament represents another level of my work. When you're dealing with an audience that's used to being spoon-fed, how do you divide the blame? Different styles, techniques shouldn't be a hindrance, but a welcoming challenge. The main objective should always be to do the best possible. Hopefully, you'll be able to see that. In A Tale of Rebirth, Fang Testament tells the story of Francesca, whose trials and mysterious prophecies lead her to fulfill destiny by freeing the people of her ancestors from corrupt invaders and restoring their faith and culture to its original glory. This is the first part of the Fang saga. Serious. Greg Williams, the Dark One, with Michael Linsner, started this label. Yep. Faust. Shinga's Talons. So we got what? Christoph Silver, right? Silver with Comix. Tim Vigil wrote Grips. I know it's a strange name. Look it up. 4-issue limited series. Grips, precursor to Faust. Then Tim Vigil teamed up with writer David Quinn, originally through North Star, then their own Rebel Studios label. They published Faust. Outlaw Comics, guy comes back from the dead for revenge, hell-bent on some sadistic killing, gratuitous sex and violence, drug use, and sadism, and dark arts, dark ways, evil, dark shit. If you are a fan of Dungeons and Dragons, as I was growing up, I fucking dig this. That's what I'm being reminded of right now. Oh yeah. Some people boning. Nice. It's a little bit different. What do we got here? Tim Tyler as the inker, but if you compare it to the original Faust stories, still though, it's definitely a la David Quinn and Tim Vigil. This Shingen's Talons, this female version of Faust. I'm guessing, haven't read this yet, but it's like a beat up copy, right? It's got the curve here, thicker though, spine. But it's a nice reader copy, I suppose, in a way, right? It's not bad shape, but I'm checking this out from Avatar Press this time. August 2006. Let's wrap it up. Check that out. So this is from October, 4 months ago here. Talon. It's got that for the cover by straight up. October number 142. Tarot. Extinction Parade. That's my haul, y'all. Thanks for visiting. Once again, if you're new to my channel, returning, as you can see, I'm more like indie vibe. I'm not into Marvel or DC from the past 10, 15 years, but hit me up with some feedback. This reminds me of that Scout comic, Midnight of the Cadillacs. I showed off a couple of issues of that vampire comic, but this looks cool. I love this. Wow, another vampire comic, actually. Totally different artist, though. Illustrated by Paulo Sucedes. Max Brooks, story, script. Crazy looking vampire comic. Look at this cover. Thanks a lot for visiting. Stop by again sometime whenever you get a chance. At Sequential Geek. Much love. Thanks for swinging by. Remember, keep on reading, keep on collecting. Peace.